no one's watching, nobody cares, you know, so why am I doing this? Hi, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today I'm going to be doing what I like to call is a crochet chat, where I sit in front of my door because it's the only place I have in this space, and I crochet and I chat about stuff. So usually on my channel I post crochet patterns, I have tutorials, I also do some knit tutorials, knit patterns, I have Tunisian crochet tutorials, Tunisian crochet patterns. Sometimes I have yarn hauls, or I do yarn destashing, which I feel like when I do yarn destashing, then I get more yarn. It's kind of a never-ending cycle, I guess. But today I'm going to be doing a crochet chat, and what I'm going to be crocheting is, so I've been working on this shawl here. I was working on another one, a prototype, which I did get it done, except I do not have the ends woven in. So here's the other one that I had worked on in a lot of crochet chats, and I used that Hobbii yarn, the Cotton Twirls is what it's called. I had gotten it at a thrift store, and this yarn was, let's say, it was a journey to work with. I have worked with it before and loved it, but I think the reason why it was at a thrift store was, I think it might have been a bad batch, which can happen with some yarns, like they just don't always come out perfectly, and this one I think was like that. There were so many knots, so you can probably see there is just ends galore because of the knots, because each time I would come upon a knot, I would undo the knot and then rejoin the yarn, because I thought, well, I could just crochet the knot in, but then it kind of left it like a little bit bulky, and I don't really like that. So, and then this pattern, I was constantly frogging it or taking it apart and reworking it, just trying to get it how I wanted. So this one is the prototype, and I really do need to work on weaving in the ends, which is going to take me an eternity probably. And then this one, the blue one here, this teal green, which I also got, this is thread yarn here, size, I think it's either 10 or 110, or I always forget the numbers. I'll post it on screen. I don't know the brand, but it's just cotton thread, that standard size 10. It's either 10 or 110 size, and I do really like this. Now, this is going to be the final pattern, so it's slightly different than the red one, because like I said, I just kept reworking it and taking it apart, reworking it and taking it apart, until I came up with the version that I like the best. And I do really like this. Now with this pattern, you do not have to use thread yarn. Like this Hobbii yarn is a little bit heavier than thread. I just wanted to see how it would work up with like super fine yarn, and you could, you know, use heavier yarn. Just choose your hook size accordingly to whatever yarn you decide to use. And your shawl obviously will be larger if you're using a larger hook and thicker yarn. Just a little FYI there, which is fine. And so yeah, this one isn't quite done yet. Hopefully I'll have the pattern out in about a week. But yeah, it's coming along really well. The yarn, this thread, I've worked with it many times, and if you've never worked with thread before, like, don't be afraid of it. People see like fine crochet lace and they're just like, oh, I could never do that. Well, it's still crochet. It's not anything different. The only difference is you're using a smaller hook and thinner yarn. That's all. And you might not enjoy working with thinner yarn. That's okay. I do. It doesn't bother me. I know some people don't like it. Now, I'm not using a super tiny hook with this. This one is a G hook, or 4.25 millimeter hook. But you know, you could use a smaller hook if you wanted to. Your stitches would obviously be smaller, but I wanted it to be like really open and lacy, so that's why I chose this particular hook size with this yarn. So you could definitely play around with that to, you know, achieve the look that you want with this pattern, or any pattern, like especially with shawls. You can definitely play around. Like if you really wanted a huge shawl to just wrap yourself up in, then, you know, use heavier yarn and a larger hook, and you will definitely get that. So yeah, that's the fun thing that you can do, especially with shawl patterns. But yeah, today's video, as you can see in the title, I'm not just going to be talking about this shawl. You know, I have, it's not worth it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, it's just not worth it with this platform for me. I do love posting videos. I love interacting with people on YouTube. You know, I love it when people comment or have made my items or learn something. Like, that really makes my day. But it's just been a struggle. I have been doing this for a couple years, and when I first started, it was kind of here nor there. Like, I just was like, oh, I'll just make a video, whatever, and then I wouldn't do anything for like weeks, months, you know. And then obviously life got in the way with, we ended up moving, and my, you know, one daughter graduated, started college, we had COVID, and then my husband got sick and he died. So that definitely interfered with a lot of making videos and things like that, because I had to tend to my family and, you know, all the different trauma and stuff that we had been going through. But I have been really trying to kind of make it work. I was trying to post, you know, 2 to 3 times a week, which I was doing. I was doing the Tunisian Tuesdays, where I would do either a Tunisian pattern or Tunisian stitch, and then have crochet chats on Wednesday, and then on Fridays I would try to post some kind of pattern. And but it's just been getting to be too much, and I'm not getting like any payoff. Like, I'm not just doing this to make money, but it would be nice. And it's hard when you're working, you know, literally crocheting or knitting your fingers off and trying to make patterns and deal with your family and all that stuff, and literally you are seeing no return at all. Like, that is so discouraging. And or you're just seeing like mean comments, whatever, which, you know, I don't try to get too bent out of shape about that, but it can be hurtful. Like, you know, somebody said something like, this was awful to make, and I'm just like, all right, well, you don't have to like it, that's fine. Or terrible, I forget what they said, but it was not very nice. And in the crafting space, like, that's okay. You don't have to like everything. Like, there's certain things I don't like to make. Like, I really don't like making granny squares. I just don't. I've made them, I can make them well. I even have like some square patterns on here. But I just really don't enjoy making it. But I'm not going to be like, if somebody has a granny square pattern that I made, like, I'm not going to just be like, oh my gosh, this was horrible, you know. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's just, you know, what's the saying? If you don't have anything nice to say, then just keep it to yourself. You mean, like, they said that it looked cute, which was fine. That was nice. But yeah, that was kind of like, really, you know, you don't have to like it, but just move on. There's so many other different creators, whatever. So things like that. Now, I don't mind like constructive criticism. Like, I do encourage that. And like, what I mean by that is, you know, oh, you know, like somebody said, you're going too fast. And I did have it labeled as like a beginner pattern. So I've been crocheting for, you know, probably almost 30 years now. So I kind of forget like what my slow and somebody else's slow is, you know. And so that was kind of like a good reminder to be like, you know, maybe I need to dial it down a notch just to remember my audience. Like, if I'm saying that this is beginner, then I really should, you know, maybe slow it down just a little bit, break it down a little bit more. So to me, like, that was, you know, more constructive criticism, and I welcomed that. Or you know, the lighting's bad. I'm trying to work on my lighting. Like, it's just been hard because all that stuff costs money, and if you're not making any money doing it, it's, you know, life's been challenging. And I'm not trying to complain. Like, I'm doing fine. You know, God's been good to me, like taking care of me. But yeah, it's just been discouraging. So I just was kind of like reevaluating everything and was like, you know, it's not worth it. It's not worth me like completely stressing myself out, trying to get 3 videos out a week, you know, crocheting myself, you know, like crazy, you know, working my fingers to the bone. And there's no return. Like no one's watching, nobody cares, you know, so why am I doing this? That's kind of like what I had to, you know, kind of had to have a little heart to heart with myself. So I am definitely going to be scaling back and kind of just probably, I'm still going to post on YouTube. I do like doing it. I love sharing what I do, but I'm not going to be, you know, just throwing everything at the wall trying to see what sticks, you know. Like people don't seem to like Tunisian Tuesday. Okay, fine. Like I still love doing Tunisian crochet. I'm still going to have some Tunisian crochet patterns out there, of course, but you know, like I'm just going to shelve that Tunisian Tuesday, you know, the crochet chats, you know, like probably hardly anybody's going to be watching this, so I'm not really going to be posting that. I think I'm just going to be focusing on patterns, and also to go back to writing. I used to write a lot of patterns either for publications or for Ravelry. I had an Etsy site, and all that kind of stopped, especially when my husband got sick and then he died, and we were just dealing with the aftermath of his death and all that stuff. And then videos seemed to be really like be the thing. So I was like, okay, well, I need to kind of stop writing and you know, just make video patterns. But I think I'm going to go back to doing some more writing, especially going through my catalog of patterns I have on YouTube, because I have quite a bit. And some of them, a lot of them, I don't have written patterns for. And also some of my earlier written patterns, because I started probably writing patterns when like 2010. And when I started, I really had no idea what I was doing. And, you know, I did have pictures and things, but like photography back then and photography back now, even like using just a cell phone, like the difference is amazing, you know. So I thought, you know, I kind of need to revisit some of those old patterns as well and kind of retweak them, revise them, have some better pictures, clearer pictures, you know, better lit pictures, things like that. And, you know, kind of rework my catalog of patterns that I have. And so I'm not sure, you know, I'll keep them on Ravelry, but I don't know if I'm going to go back to selling more patterns on Etsy. Etsy's changed so much that it's not the same Etsy as when I started. Like I loved Etsy in the beginning, and Etsy was truly a handmade place, which I have talked about that a little bit before, but it has so gotten away from its original self, you know. And of course every business kind of has to change and grow or whatever, but like they talk about being like handmade, you know, the smaller business, whatever, and it is so not that anymore. It's to me it's basically just like another Amazon, and it's really kind of heartbreaking because so many talented people have either had to shut down their shops or they just kind of gave up and were like, you know, they get tired of seeing the mass-produced items that they try to pass off as handmade, and Etsy just doesn't care. So yeah, that's just, so I don't know if I'm going to go back to that. But yeah, I just wanted to share that I'm just kind of reevaluating things and, you know, just saying that it's not worth it. It's not worth stressing myself out, staying up super late, you know, racking my brains, trying to come up with ideas, trying to post a pattern and just thinking, oh, this is going to be the one, this is going to be the one that, you know, people are going to love or whatever. And then getting your hopes dashed when, again, it's another failure. So, you know, I hate like saying that I'm a failure, but yeah, I am kind of a failure on YouTube. I am. You know, I do have some loyal viewers, and I really appreciate that have stuck by me, and I thank you so much for that. And I don't want to say that my stuff is crap, but I guess in the mainstream crafting world, I guess it is crap. But you know, I'm just going to keep making what I like instead of trying to, you know, tailor it to what's trendy or whatever. I was never big on trends, and I'm just going to try to just keep being me, I guess, and, you know, just post things that I really enjoy making and am happy about. And so, yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at right now. So if, you know, the very few of you that have watched and were wondering, you know, what happened to her, because it's been a couple weeks, you know, that's kind of it. And also things have just been busy with back to school. You know, it's a lot to take care of my house. And I'm probably going to have to, you know, get some kind of other job down the road. I have a senior, like, you know, there's just a lot, you know, I still have 2 kids that live at home. One's in college, and then my other one, she got married, and her husband is now overseas serving our country, which is a huge, huge stress. And, you know, just hoping and praying that he'll come back okay. So yeah, just a lot of things. And I, you know, do my volunteer stuff at my church, and that's really important to me. So, you know, if YouTube was paying off more, because people don't like to talk about money on YouTube, but I got monetized, I think a little over a year ago. And in that time, I've only made $300 in over a year. So yeah, okay, great. That's lovely, but you can't live off of $300 in a year, which I don't even know how much that is per month. I'll do the math and put it up there. Can't do it off the top of my head. So, you know, like doing all this work, crocheting, making patterns, because people get annoyed when things are paid or whatever, like, you know, a paid pattern. Well, it takes work. It does. It's not like, yes, it's a hobby and it's great, but when you're making a pattern, you're filming a pattern, you're writing a pattern, like that requires hours of work. And to only make $300 in a year's time is super discouraging. Like, it just is. So, you know, there have been some crocheting or crafting YouTubers that have like made it, and that's fantastic. I don't, you know, I'm like, what's their secret? You know, I haven't found it. I haven't found that. So yeah, so I just decided, you know, I need to take a step back. I mean, I'm still going to try to post at least once a week. And I, you know, don't want to be like a super downer or whatever, but that's just, you know, where I'm at right now with this whole thing. You know, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to say throwing in the towel, but yeah, kind of throwing in the towel because, you know, like I said, if you're doing the same thing all the time and it's not working, then obviously you need to reevaluate and do something different, or just stop what you're doing. Because obviously you're not going to get the results. Like, they're just not going to happen, and that's okay. You know, I realize that. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. I do also post on TikTok, which I kind of haven't done it so much, not because I don't like it. TikTok is kind of fun. TikTok's a wild world. It is a wild world. It can be, I know people, they really get annoyed with TikTok or just think it's a complete cesspool, which it can be. It really can be a absolute cesspool. But I feel like TikTok is what you make of it. So if you're going after those cesspool videos, then yeah, it's going to be a complete cesspool. But as I say, I try to stay in my lane with that stuff, and I literally just like to look at the crafting stuff, the DIYs, and that's what I stick with, and I love it. I think it's great, and it's fun making TikTok videos. Not monetized on there, but you know, to do it, it's pretty simple. Like, they've made the formula on how to do it not very complicated, which is great. Where YouTube can be a lot more complicated, I think, where TikTok is pretty like streamlined, user friendly. Like, if you are not tech savvy and you want to post some videos on TikTok, like, you can do it. You can. If I can do it, you can do it. So, but keep in mind, like, stay in your lane. Like, if you don't want all that nastiness, you don't have to have it. Like, you don't on TikTok, you know. Like, I rarely come across videos that are like the disgusting, you know, nasty, whatever it is. Like, I just don't. Now, of course, if you have young kids, then yes, you really need to police that. I mean, I'm fortunate my kids are older, so TikTok wasn't around when they were younger. And I'm also fortunate, I have like weird unicorn kids because they're not like that into social media. I've never had issues of where they like base their whole identity off of social media. Like, oh, somebody doesn't like me on social media, you know, my life is terrible or whatever. Like, I've never had that. And it's got to be so hard for parents that, you know, have those issues with their kids. Like, I just can't imagine. So I'm really thankful that that's never been an issue, because I do have a 17-year-old, and, you know, she rarely posts. Like, she likes to look at fun memes and things like that, or she loves animals. And so a lot of things that she is into on social media when she is on it is animal videos, animal rescues, funny dog videos. Like, that's what she's into. So I'm like, you know, I'll take it. And then my other kids, obviously they're grown adults, so, you know, they can make their own choices. But even still, they love, my two older ones love sending each other funny memes. They just love funny memes, like, just, and I think it's great, because when they lived together at home, they didn't get along that well. So it's nice that now they have that, you know, kind of bond them now that the ones moved out and got married. So yeah, I do TikTok a little bit, but yeah, I decided not to do as much on there, because I guess there's like, I try to stay off the news. Like, the news is just, I don't want to be completely uninformed, but I don't watch the news too much, because when my husband was sick, he watched the news all the time. Like, as soon as he got up, because he literally was on bed rest. He couldn't, he had a severe infection in his foot, and he had to be off his foot all the time, except to, like, you know, use a crutch to go to the bathroom. And then he had to be off the foot. Foot had to be elevated at all times. So what did he do? He watched TV. He was not a reader. So he watched TV, and he just watched news stuff as soon as he got up to when he went to bed. And I was a stay-at-home mom, so I was home, and I heard that all the time. And it just got to the point where after he passed, I got rid of TV. As far as like regular news, like cable and all that, we got rid of all that. I do streaming like Netflix or whatever, but you know, I talked to my kids and was like, is that okay? Like, if we don't have this in the house, because it just got to be so stressful. And after he passed, I'm like, I just don't need any more stress in my life. I have so much stress. So yeah, I don't watch the news or anything like that. So I just, you know, stay off of that. And, you know, that's kind of, so, but I have heard through the little bit of news, like I'll catch here and there on YouTube or whatever, that TikTok might be banned. So I guess that's where I was going with the news thing. Sorry, I tend to go on these little bunny trails. That's always been a flaw I have. I know my kids get annoyed. They're like, get to the point, Mom. And you're probably thinking that with this video, like, get to the point. But yeah, so TikTok might be banned, I guess, maybe, I don't know. So I thought, well, why am I going to put a lot of energy into trying to get monetized on TikTok if it's just going to be taken away? Like, yeah, so I've just kind of been on a wait and see with that to see where that's going to go. But I think I'm going to go now. I've got some things to do. I got to vacuum my floors and scare my dog. He hates the vacuum. And going to a local fair today. Our town always has this fair, so I did enter some things in the fair, and we'll see how I did. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!